All right, everybody, about 5 minutes out. 5 minutes. All right, everybody. Welcome back to AlphaInfinityTech. We are live in the verse tonight in 4.5. And engineering is live, making things very interesting for everybody. And tonight we're going to be focused on mining in the mole, of course. All right. Let's get everything ready to go here. And I've already got all my supply runs done. Everything's ready to go, so I don't have to bore you guys with the monotony of that. Okay, and let's get down to the hangar here. And man, 4.5 had caused a lot of angst. And I guess as it was going through iterations in the Star Citizen universe out there, there was a lot of concern about engineering and how it impact the solo player. Okay, we'll get our Argo Mole called up here, and we'll head on down. And everything's pre-staged, ready to go. Yep, and there she is. Look at the beauty. That's our moneymaker right there. And we're going to go out to Ignis tonight. And we have all the usual supplies. I do need to grab probably another... Actually, I think I have a couple of these on board. Okay, and let's check what we got in storage here. Okay, so we have all the usual suspects. I do probably want to grab another Optimax, just to make sure that we're going well, that we have enough supplies on board. So I'm going to grab one more Optimax because with Terranite, Laranite, the Optimax seems to help with that cluster modifier, so I don't try to leave home without at least a couple on board. So we'll go ahead and do that first. And let me know how the stream quality is for you guys. I am on a fiber connection in Texas, and we are uploading in full 4K to YouTube at almost 40 megabits, no problem. So really happy about that. Let's undo the weapons. We'll go utility. There's another Optimax right there. And let me just grab one more to put in the box. All right. Absolutely gorgeous. Make sure you hit that gear icon for 4K. And what we'll do now is we'll throw a couple of these in this storage box. And as you guys know, I always recommend that you bring extra supplies. So what we'll do is we'll take a couple of these Optimaxes, throw them in here for now, and go from there. And I am on a 9900X3D tonight. And as always, I have the system stats. They're in the top right-hand corner tonight. So we're on a 4090 9900X3D build. This is my Texas gaming box setup here. And of course, we're streaming from a MacBook Pro. So M4 Max. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing started up. We'll head out to Ignis, and let me know if you guys are around. Go ahead and say something in chat for me. If you have any questions, let me know. And look at that. 185 in the hangar here. Not bad for Pyro. there she is. Okay, and we're running the beautiful paint on here tonight. This one's probably my favorite in all of the game. All right, let's get Ignis plugged in here. And we're going to make sure we got 4 HDR on here as well. Let's do that real quick while we're in a safe area. For some reason, this gets disabled every time I exit the game. So got a config problem there that I'm going to have to resolve. But other than that, this processor is an absolute beast. So really loving this. Make sure we don't hit an asteroid like that one right there. That's the one that always gets me. And off we go to Pyro. It's been a while since I've been out. I did one mining run today just to make sure I had everything ready to roll here. But other than that, I haven't been mining out in the verse in the last couple of weeks just because unless you bought the mole out in Levski, you weren't able to change out the mining heads to what we really need, which is the Helix 2, of course. And I have a video out on YouTube for that. So but if you're just joining us tonight, welcome to AlphaInfinityTech. We are live in the verse. Glad to have everybody on. We are streaming live from Texas tonight. So normally I'm in Montana, but tonight we're in Texas. And this is where I'll be streaming for the next month or so on an awesome fiber connection. So make sure you hit that gear icon on YouTube, select 4K, maximize it on your screen. Hopefully it looks good for you guys. Let me know in chat if there are any issues there. And I am actually not too unhappy about the engineering changes that they've implemented in 4.5 so far. I think it's actually been sorely needed for quite a while. So I think this adds another gameplay that another gameplay item that I think will be useful. And honestly, you shouldn't be soloing capital ships anyway, right? But I am glad to be back online tonight. Glad to have everybody on here. Thank you guys for sticking with me. And there she is. That's our moneymaker right there. We're going to do some mining on Ignis tonight, see if we can find some decent rocks. I know that they have made quite a few changes when it comes to refining bonuses and things like that. Refining bonuses, the refining penalties that you take now, they're pretty hefty, but at the same time, they've also increased the value of some of the minerals that we're out there getting every day. So I think it all evens out, and maybe we come out a little better. Look at the average price per SCU of Terranite, Laranite, Quantanium, Styleron, Ricite. Take a look at all the average prices. All that changed per SCU in 4.5, and it was a huge change. So, yeah, we take a refining hit. But at the end of the day, I think it all gets made up by the bonuses that we get in 4.5 from the material sales. So it all evens out, or maybe we even come out better. But we're going to go find out. All right, we're going to hit the outer marker here. One thing I am noticing is it does seem like some of these industrial quantum drive cooldown times have been increased. I just a feeling. Don't know for sure. I don't have any. It's just anecdotal at this point in time, but it seems like there's a longer cooldown time on some of these quantum drives for sure. Humble, what's up, my man? Glad to have you on tonight. And Humble's saying that refining bonuses are universal. You only get 45%. Yeah, I may change this out too. I'm not sure if I'm running a Chimera in this or not. I'm going to look here in just a moment. I may be running a B industrial in this instead, but I'll take a look. All right, we're going to go hit Ignis tonight and see what we can see. And while that's calculating out, let me see if I can find. So we're running the Hurricane in here right now, so that's probably why I'm seeing a little bit longer cooldown time. The Chimera is definitely shorter. All right, let's hit an outer marker here. Okay, we're looking for OM1. 4. And you guys will have to forgive me. This is not my usual streaming setup, so I have a little tweaking to do here on some of the audio items. Okay, let's go ahead and head down to the surface. It looks like quite a few things in mining have changed, especially with like scanning. There have been some changes there, so it'll be interesting to see how all that looks. Yeah, and humble, honestly, man, I was never a big refining bonus guy. I never chased refining bonuses. I know in Stanton that there were a few that were that could be pretty significant, but now that I spend 90% of my mining time in Pyro, I don't spend a lot of time looking for those refining bonuses anymore. So. And Humble, let me know how the stream quality is, my friend. I just want to make sure you guys are getting a good experience here. OBS is telling me everything looks good, but sometimes that's not the true picture. So let me know if there are any issues. And look at that. Absolutely gorgeous and full HDR. And even though we're on a 4090, we're pushing 120 FPS. Amazing. And I am not using Vulkan, by the way. And the main reason is because I've really gotten used to smooth motion. And you can't use smooth motion with Vulkan. So, at least not at the moment. Maybe that never changes. Maybe that changes. I'm not sure. But the technology is only available on the DirectX 11 renderer. So, and I've come to really like having smooth motion. It really does make the gameplay experience a lot better. So that's why. And look at the detail. Just absolutely amazing what they've done here. You can see the serial number right up here. All right, thanks, Humble. I just want to make sure we're in good shape here. All right, so we're going to head down to about this area right here. We're on the OM1 in Ignis. And let me turn the cruise control on. And just take a look at the mole here. Absolutely gorgeous. And if you guys want to know what setup I'm running, you can check out my YouTube video on my mole configuration. I haven't really tweaked it or changed it a whole lot in the last month or so. So that's what we're going to be running with tonight. A couple of helixes and a Hofstede. And there's no such thing as the perfect mole setup, I don't think, but we all have our preferences on things that we like, but this is the one that works for me. So this is what I've maybe tweaked 1 or 2 modules, but other than that, everything is pretty much the same. Look at that. All right, we have some Optimaxes on board, a couple of Sabirs in case we run into an S tier mineral that has a high resistance, and we'll see what we can see. So let's get the mining started. And I'm going to get out of this screen here. We're going to get over to our scan. There we go. And we'll shallow out our descent a little bit. And so there have been some scanning changes in 4.5. Now we're going to see a lot more stuff out there. Get the cruise off. So we're going to be picking up rock minables and even some of this other stuff that we would normally see out here. Not sure I like that. I don't know, Humble. What do you think about the scanning changes they made? Are you liking those, or are you thinking they've overcomplicated things on us? All right, let's see what we got here. I did not catch the scan return number there, but we'll. So that's a small rock. These are gonna probably the rest of these are gonna be small too. Yeah, these are all gonna be small, so we'll keep on trucking here. Okay, we're just gonna turn right here and head right into the sun. Well, that we'll go ahead and take that one. Why not? Let's see if there's anything else in here worth picking up. $25 in gold. Yeah, we'll take that one too. So this is where we're going to start our work tonight. Got a little bexlite, a little ricite. And not worth breaking there, but all right. Let's see what we got for this guy right here. So this is going to be a pretty easy rock to break. I'm going to go ahead and throw an Optimax on this one just for the heck of it. I actually have not tried an Optimax on ricite yet, so it'll be interesting to see if it impacts the cluster modifier at all. Sometimes the Optimax works really well on bexlite, terranite, and sometimes not so well. And like on Quantanium, I haven't had a lot of luck, at least in 4.4. We'll see how it looks. And we probably need to put our helmet on just for that. Okay. Oh, I love it when that happens. So Humble saying rocks on Ignis looked okay. Didn't find any 50K rocks so far, but I love that when it disappears into the rock like that. That's great. So we probably just ended up losing one, which is one more reason why I bring multiple. So let's go grab another one. And now I kind of know what to look for so we don't lose a second one. You guys notice that placement icon was just slightly different. We'll take care of multiple problems at the same time here. All right, let's grab another Optimax here. And that, my friends, is why I always carry a store all on board with just a few extra goodies. And we should actually, I think we could break this one with just the Hofstede. So we'll find out. There we go. Oh, are you kidding me? Well, we may be breaking this one without a. I saw the light right here in the rock and it just wasn't. Okay. Well, we're going to break it without one, unfortunately. We'll just scoop up everything. And then I'm going to come back out here and get both my mining gadgets, assuming that we don't destroy them. Okay. All right. Let's move us slightly to the left here. We're 30 meters out, and we'll go a little nose up, get the gear up, and we'll make sure that we're in the correct SCM mode with our shields up. And let's go jump in the Hofstede real quick and see if that'll do the job. If not, we have a couple of helixes on board. But on an 11K rock, I want to use my lightest touch I can here. Beautiful night out here on Ignis. Look at that. Got the moon back there and the amazing. Okay, saying impossible. Yeah, probably. Let's see if we can get a. There we go. So probably without the focus. It probably would have been a little bit easier, but that's okay. And so it's 38% Ryzen on this one. Not bad. Not a lot of inert. And hopefully I can get my Optimaxes back. And we'll take this nice and easy. You know, you guys see that instability over there, right? So not going to push the laser power to full to get this one into the optimal. We're just going to let it ride the 94% power level, the laser intensity all the way into the optimal here, and then we'll back it off a little bit. And yeah, this is looking really good. There we go. And we'll just kind of massage this all the way out and break us our first rock for the night. There she is. All right. Okay, that's going to be another break. That should make things a little interesting. Let's see what we got down. 24%. We'll start on maybe that one, or what do we got over here? All right, this should be fun. Real nice and easy here. And that focus 3 just gives me a little bit more optimal, a little bit more room to make some mistakes. And especially on high instability minerals, it really does help out. Okay, so there we go. What else do we got? And we're going to take it all. Okay, we'll bring the power level all the way down here. Always start at 0 on these fragments, and then we'll take it up slightly. There we go. And if you're just joining us, welcome to AlphaInfinityTech. We're live tonight in the 4.5 PU, breaking rocks, making money, living the life, so to speak, the mining life, Star Citizen. So and I did a little bit of mining earlier on Ignis. I didn't see anything really big yet. I haven't run in any big rocks, so I'm going to be curious to see if we find any tonight. Yeah, that one's really frisky for sure, so we'll just let that overcharge bleed off. But I wouldn't mind putting the stampedes and the surge modules. Dang, that thing is really frisky. I don't know if we're going to make it past that one. We're going to have to attack this one a little bit differently. We don't want to overcharge a 57% rhyolite fragment. Got to be really careful here. Nice and easy. Keeping that laser power real low. Oh, of course. Right at the end. All right, well. So we'll just go ahead and scoop this up. There's a nice fragment right there. 85%. We'll take it. Another 60% plus frag. Nice. Would have loved to be able to put an Optimax on this, but the universe wasn't letting us do that tonight, so. And look at that. Beautiful. All right, let's attack this one next here. See what we got. Oh, yeah. All right. Once again, power level nice and low. And that focus 3 that we have on the Hofstad here, it gives us a 40% bonus on the charge window. So that's really nice when you're breaking fragments like this, Quantanium, Rhyolite. Any of the more volatile minerals helps out. Oh, yeah, look at that. Let's see if we can not overcharge this fragment. And normally I'm running my own music playlist, but let me know what you guys think about this tonight. I'm just running game audio, in-game music, so nothing crazy. And let me know in the comment section if you like that better than hearing what I normally play. Everybody has their own taste on music, so. And there she goes. All right, look at that. So we'll scoop this up. All right. Yeah, so we're going to end up about a half and half mix here on cargo. That's not bad. I'll probably leave that one for last. All right, we'll start the party on this one next. See if we can get a decent fragment out of this one. And there is my mining gadget down there. One of them at least. I wonder where the other one is. So we'll hop out and grab that before we depart. Yeah, we're going to drop that power level all the way down. It gets really frisky at the top end of the optimal here, so got to be super careful. And look at that. There we go. Easier break on that one. Lower instability. All right, let's see what these fragments look like. 7%. See if we got a decent one in here somewhere. 31. Yeah, that's not. Look at that. Let's see what else we got. 0.65. I don't think I'm going to bother with that one. We'll go ahead and take the 13%. Just because we have some Bexlite to grab after this. Let's see what we ended up with on this last one. 69%. We're definitely taking that one. So there was our good break. Okay. And let's start on this one. 4%. 29%. We'll take the 29. Yeah, Humble says I love the passive builds. I absolutely do. But the nice thing about the mole is I can run actives on one, passives on another. I do have a helix with 2 surges and a stampede on it on the starboard side over there. And wow, look at that, 45%. Yeah, this is going to turn out to be a really nice rock. I haven't used the mining calculators in 4.5 yet, but I would imagine that this is probably going to be an okay run on this rock with almost 25 SCU or more. .51 to 0.65. All right, let's go ahead and break this last fragment right here. Gorgeous. And if you're just joining us, welcome to AlphaInfinityTech. We're live in the verse tonight, breaking some rocks on Ignis, getting it done, making some money in 4.5. I'm not on the hotfix instance just because I've been hearing that there are some issues. So I've avoided the hotfix until they're ready. Oh, there's a nice 52% fragment right there. Look at that. Let's see if we can grab this guy right here. What is this one going to end up being? 19%, we'll take that. Why not? And there's one right there. What is that? 39, we'll take it. And that may conclude this rock here. 7.5, 0.65, and 4.47. Okay. Now my only question is, what happened to my mining gadget? I'm going to go ahead and take this one just to get out of the way. And my mining gadget's disappeared, unfortunately. Well, that sucks. .2, 0.65, and 4.47. We'll leave. Might as well just grab it all. Why not? There's another mining gadget right there. Perfect. All right, so we're going to end up with about 25 SCU of Ryzen on this one, and we'll have enough room for maybe a little bit of Bexlite. I believe that's what that rock is. So let's go pick up our mining gadget real quick, and then we'll move on to the next rock. And that will conclude at least our first run tonight. Plan on doing a couple. There's one mining gadget. Okay, let's go park this bad boy, and we'll hop out, grab our mining gadget, the one that survived. Then we'll head on to the next rock. Look at that, fire extinguishers that we can actually use now. We have an engineering console that actually works. And I have been flying all over the place in the Drake Clipper. If you guys haven't seen my review on that, go check it out. I will say the one disadvantage that I see to the Clipper is it's going to be a little bit slower when you're making those long runs across the verse. But other than that, I've been, because even the fastest drive, the non-military version of it, is still 20, 30, 40,000 meters per second slower than the drive, for example, that you can use on the Corsair. So, but if that doesn't matter to you, then the Clipper is really a fantastic machine. So go check out my review on that. I really like that ship. Highly recommend it. All right, let's go ahead and carry that. Throw that in storage. And let's just double check and make sure my other poor Optimax didn't end up around here somewhere. Sometimes they end up floating. Floating off a little ways, sliding around in that alpha version of the physics they have in the verse right now. But nope, it does not appear to be here. So we'll go ahead and climb back on board. All right, so we got our Optimax back on board. We may go place that on the Bexlite rock. We'll take a look here in a minute. Probably not, though, since we only have just a little bit of cargo room left. And I am basing out a checkmate these days. So it puts me in, I guess, the best proximity to Monox and Ignis that I can be in. And so that's where we're doing our runs from. Not exactly an efficient run. There's our Bexlite rock right there, 49K. That's a big guy. And let's take a look at this one to see what we got here. So resistance is interesting. Instability is very interesting. So 38%, there's 171 SCU rock. So 50K rock here on Ignis. So we're gonna try and break this one with some active modules, which I know Humble will appreciate. So we're gonna use the Stampede and the surges on it. And if that doesn't work, then I have more surges on board, and we'll just go with the triple surge setup to get to it. But for now, we're going to throw an Optimax on this and see if that works. Maybe it'll work on this rock when it didn't work on the last one. And we also have a Sabir on board as well, if I need that. All right, are we going to get a placement, or is it going to fall into the rock again? Ah, we got a placement this time. What a miracle. All right, we're starting out at 63. So it looks like the axial scatter is going to put us at 70. That's going to get us up to 93. And we'll just roll with 93 here. Okay, there we go. We have a winner. There is our beautiful mole. Love this paint. One of my favorites. And we got a 50K Bex rock that we're going to crack tonight. And we don't have cargo space to take it all home because we had a Ryzen rock that we cracked first. But we'll go ahead and I wanted to scoop every bit of that. But we'll go ahead and take a shot at this other rock here and see what we can see. And I'm just going to throw a little bit more. I think I have the shields maxed out in case we overcharge and make a mistake. But I'm curious to see what happens if we make a really big mistake and pop the rock right in front of the mole. What happens on the engineering side of things. Okay, so what we're going to do here is that we got our active mining. We got our gadget on there. And we're going to back off just a little bit. We'll do a little bit of nose up here. Get our gear up. And let me just make sure that our power distribution is where I want it. So shields are maxed out. Yeah, everything's good. All right, let's go ahead and climb into the mining head and see what we can do here. I'm feeling fairly confident that a double surge Stampede setup should be able to crack a 50K rock, but let's find out. And look at the beautiful night that we have out here on Ignis. Sun's starting to go down. Things are getting quiet. And let's just make sure that I didn't back us off too much here. Oh, yeah. Look at this optimal range. It's going to be very interesting. All right. Okay. We're going to back that off just a little bit. And we're going to take it nice and slow and easy here. Bring up the power just a little bit. I'm blowing through surges. There we go. Yeah, that optimal is real small here. So we're going to overcharge it no matter what. Ay, ay, ay. Here it goes. Well, we're gonna test out that engineering after all tonight. Oh, we might have lucked out. We'll let that power bleed off. Resistance is in the green. Oh. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. That optimal is really rough. Yeah, we're going to have some overcharge no matter what here, but it really climbs right there at the end. Right at the end. What do you think, Humble? Leave it? I'm just curious. Oh, and here's this bug right here where if you change the from fracture to extraction mode in the middle of turning the laser on and off, that's what happens. So we're gonna have that noise with us until we get back to base, unfortunately. And before I throw a couple more surges on it, I want to see if we can. I don't think we can crack this one with this laser, but we're gonna try. Yeah, I think I'm with Humble on this one. We might leave this rock out in the wild. And I don't think we can even move the needle with the 3 Rigers. All right, let's go grab our gadget and find another rock. And if you're just joining us, welcome to AlphaInfinityTech tonight. We're live in the verse in 4.5 in the engineering release. Fun stuff. we'll just hop out the laser side here hop out on the head and grab our gadget so we don't lose 26,000 on the rock. Very interesting bug there. They still haven't fixed it. There we go. There's our Optimax. Yeah, the Helix 2 with the 3 Rigers, I think is limited to around 34, 35-ish, depending on resistance and a few other factors. 49 is not gonna break for us with that particular mining head. As a matter of fact, what I may do is just head on back to the barn now, offload our Ryzen, and come back with a clean mole and get rid of this bug that they've got going on here. And look at the beautiful scenery out on Ignis tonight. Gorgeous, isn't it? And for those that are new to this stream, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm running the system stats in the top right, just using the NVIDIA overlay, nothing fancy. So that you guys can see what the machine's doing. So we're on a 9900 X3D tonight with a 4090. So this is a new setup for me. And she's still pushing 120 FPS with smooth motion on, so looking pretty good. Let me know what you guys think about Vulkan in chat. They said they've made some updates to it in 4.5 and improved performance quite a bit. I tried it out temporarily, and it just wasn't my thing. So I'd rather have smooth motion on. And if you attempt to launch into the game with smooth motion on, you get a black screen, so you got to disable it and then disable Vulkan and then go change it over to DirectX 11, and then from there you can launch into the game with smooth motion on. And I just like smooth motion so much I'm not going to get rid of it. So let me know what you guys think. And so we're going to head back to the barn and get rid of this load of Ryzen we have on board, reset this bug right here, and then we'll head back to Ignis and see if we can find some big rocks. Oh, and Humble Monk's tip for tonight is to put the mining gadget in the backpack so it doesn't get jacked up when you sit down or do something else. And let me know how the stream quality is for you guys out there tonight. So I have my machine isn't as good as the one I have at my home in Montana, but it's definitely an awesome machine. But the internet connection down here is all fiber. So we're able to stream in 4K. .4K 60 here from OBS all the way out to the net. And it is looking really good at 46 megabits per second. So really, you guys should have really good stream quality. And if you guys are just hanging out, let me know in chat. By the way, we are doing an Alpha Wolf giveaway. So if you subscribe to the channel and comment on one of the videos, you're automatically entered to win. And we're going to be giving that puppy away in just a few weeks. So towards the end of the month here, I'll make an announcement on my next video. Yep, so we're running DirectX 11 3840 by 2160, full screen, quality on upscaling, DLSS, DLAA. I did not change the upscaling model. HDR is enabled. Probably turn this brightness up just a little bit. There we go. And we're almost back to checkmate already. Absolutely gorgeous detail. The game is really, really looking good now. It just gets better and better. All right, so what do we end up with in terms of, we ended up with 26 SCU of Ryzen on this one. I'll be curious to see what that turns out to be once we're done here. I think we're going to lose 50, 60% of it in the refinery, but they've also increased the value per SCU out there in the marketplace by quite a bit. So I'll be interested to see what happens when I take it to sale. All right, and here we go. We're back at checkmate already. And there's our hangar. We'll go ahead and get into the little bit slower SCM mode here. We'll head down to the hangar. Try not to smash into any rocks or cables. That's one bad thing about checkmate is you got a nice, there's a cable right there. All right. All right, let's go take a look at what kind of refining penalty we take here. So we did about 3K in damage, used 1.4K in quantum fuel, and about 100 in hydrogen. So let's get the mole stored. I got to tell you, Humble, I kind of missed the days of the countdown timer and the stress that came along with it when all we had to worry about was Quantanium. But I do like having the ability to mine a lot more stuff. That's also very nice. We're not just limited to one thing. All right, let's get the mole stored here. And that will reset that bug. And for those who are not familiar, when you mine in Pyro, you can go directly to the refinery from your hangar. So very nice feature out here in Pyro. All right, let's see what the hit's going to be tonight. Okay, we got one work order in progress here. All right. So 2,600 on the quantity. And I know, and if you guys haven't seen what happens here, don't be too shocked. So that is not great on that yield at all, but that is the way things are now. So 21 hours on Dinks. I think we just spend more money, but we don't get any more efficiency on Farron Exchange. Yeah, it's going to be exactly the same, along with a bunch of other ones here. And sometimes the UI bugs out and I have to log back in here, so we'll do that. So yield sucks, but at the same time, they've increased the value, I believe, on Ryzen. All right, so 2,600 on quantity, 1,170 on yield, 47.19 on 10, 21.24 on yield. So we'll go ahead and confirm that and get the party started. So not a bad mining run for the first run. Let me take a look at the mining calculator and see what we made on that one. All right, so I'm at regolith.rocks, and they're saying that this particular mining run, let me just make sure I have this correct here. I'm going to double check this. So I'm going to double check these numbers, but it's saying that the final sale price, gross profit on this is going to be 1.319 million AUEC with a yield of 1,170 on that Ryzen. I don't know. That seems a little sus to me. But Humble, let me know if that sounds right to you, man. If that's the case, then they've really increased the value of per SCU. Well, I don't know. Let me know, guys. So we had I used their work order calculator, and it's saying 1.3 million for that little Ryzen rock. All right, back to the hangar. Let's get the mole called back up, and let's head back out. Wow, 63K per SCU. Amazing. Loving that. So even though you're taking that refining penalty on the yield, it doesn't really matter that much because they've increased the value per SCU of the mineral so much that all right, there's our beautiful mole. She's all ready to go. And look at this. And if you guys don't mind giving me a thumbs up on the stream, that'd be greatly appreciated. Oh, and that's why I turned down the HDR peak brightness right there, is because you do get some graphical glitches when you have that all the way up like that right there. If you guys saw the stairs, these vents were kind of bugging out a little bit. And if you look at this light right here when I turn, so let me get that turned back down so that doesn't bug the crap out of you guys all night. So let's try turning that one down to 300 and see if that helps. Yeah, that helps right there. Perfect. That's how you fix that problem. All right. All right, guys, back out to Ignis. Let's see what we can find. Yeah, so Humble Monk's saying 63K per SCU of Ryzen. So that is a very nice run. Let's make sure we're gassed up here and ready to roll. Yep, nothing to service here. And let's get Ignis plugged in, which is currently my favorite spot. I don't believe that you can find Ryzen on Monox right now, because that's my second favorite spot to mine. So that's why I'm kind of leaning towards Ignis at the moment. All right, let's see if we can avoid that asteroid right there and that cable. And we are on our way back. Oh, and Monk's saying 90,000. 90,000 per SCU for Styleron. Wow. That is awesome. How freaking cool is that? Well, that'd be really nice to find that kind of rock tonight. Let's see if we can find one. And if you guys are just joining us, welcome to AlphaInfinityTech. We're live tonight in the PU in 4.5. And we are mining out on Pyro. And it looks like our first run is tentatively 1.3 million in Ryzen. So we'll take that. That's not a bad first run. So if you have a really good night out here in Ignis, you could make 5, 10, 5 million per run. Find a nice Ryzen rock or Styleron rock for sure. And my understanding is they've also drastically increased the value on Laranite and Terranite, so, and gold. I'm going to turn down the music here just a little bit. There we go. All right, back to Pyro 5. So it's roughly a 43 gigamillion run out from Checkmate to Pyro. To Pyro 5 here, so not too terrible. As long as you have A-grade components, but especially the quantum drive on the mole here. Sorry, not gigamillion, gigameter. For those of you not in the United States, I know you're laughing at me right now, but we're not on the metric system here, so it's a Freudian slip. All right, so 43 gigameter. All right, and off to outer marker 4. And then finally, there is our, that's where we're making some money tonight, out here on Ignis, where we can find Styleron, Ricite. We can find it all here. Quantanium. Monox, you'll usually find some bigger rocks out there, but you're not going to find some of the tier S minerals out there. And let's aim for as far away from the darkness as we can. And let's go ahead and accelerate on out here towards OM6. And we'll hit this area right down in here. Hit the cruise control. Get flying. I'll give you guys a nice little view here while I step away for just a moment. And I want to thank all you guys for joining me tonight. I'm glad to have everybody on. Say something in chat. I've been hearing from Humble, so I know he's out there. And I'll be right back with you. All right, and I'm back with you guys now. We're almost there. Another beautiful view from Ignis tonight. Little graphical glitch right there. It could probably be due to HDR being enabled here. And we're going to try and stay a little bit out of the mountains tonight. We're going to try and stay in the flats if we can. All right, we got some atmospheric friction. We're getting there. And we'll shell out our descent here. All right, let's see what we got. 32,640. All right, let's check out this signature, this signal out here at 14.6. And as always, we ignore the ones that pop up within 5 kilometers out of nowhere. Yeah, I don't know if I'm down with these new scanning changes they've done. I can kind of see the use case for it, but oh, there was some obsidian though. We'll check that out. All right, what's the verse going to throw at us tonight? Let's take a look. Nothing big so far. Nothing worth cracking. Only gets smaller from there, so Those are pretty close together. This isn't looking great either. All right, let's keep on hunting. So that's a 40,000 laranite rock. Little taranite rock there. Nothing that we're out here looking for, though. Yeah, we're going to keep on trucking here. Yeah, the scanning changes they've done here are very interesting. Not sure I'm a fan. It seems like you got to scan a lot of garbage. Yeah, and look how close those are together, so you can kind of tell. Not a fan, and then all of a sudden you just run into this. Just because you happen to be flying by it, but I didn't see that come up on the, I didn't see a return come up for that signature, so we just got lucky when we flew by it. All right, let's see if the universe is going to put out tonight. What do we got? Got lucky on our first round with some ricite. All pretty small rocks so far. Little quantanium rock there. Some gold. I'm not out here hunting gold though. 18K laranite rock. So I could have probably popped the gold in the laranite, and that would have been not a terrible run, but let's see if we can find something a little better. Yeah, for you rock miners out there, this makes life a little bit more easy for you, I would think, but with the scanning changes. But for the rest of us, I got to say, this is not I don't think this is a winner. There's probably a little bit more tuning they can do here, so that we're not having to chase all this stuff down all the time. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. I'm curious. You see how close those are together, though? That looks like gems to me. Those are further apart out there, so those are probably something we might want to take a look at. All right, let's see if these igneous deposits are worth looking at. Oh, yeah, we've already scanned these. We kind of backtracked a little bit. Okay, we'll keep on trucking then. Keep heading into the sun, and we're going to find something good. Let's just keep on looking, being patient. All right, so okay, there's an obsidian deposit out there. That's good. A single, never a good thing. So much stuff to scan now. All right, we got ourselves a granite deposit here. A couple of rocks. Let's see what we got. Bigger rock, 17K, but not the stuff we're looking for. Okay, 17K Bexlite rock. $38K gold. $14K Terranite. We'll scan these smaller guys just in case we're not missing something good. So Bexlite, Humble Monk saying Bexlite's going about 17K per SCU. Not bad. Not bad at all. So we got a Bexlite rock, gold, and a 14K Terranite. So I think we'll take all three of these. All right, so let's snuggle up to this guy right here. 30 meters out, 39. Back off just a little bit. There we go. And we should have a pretty easy time with this one on the front mining head. Get that power all the way down, and look at that optimal window. And look at that. Oh man, look how fast that jumped up. Amazing. All right, there's that first break. I think we're just out of range on that one. Yep, just out of range on that guy. And same on that one too. All right. Let's go climb in the Hofstad and scoop these guys up real quick, and then we'll go work on that Terranite rock. How's gold doing these days per SCU, Humble? If you happen to have that market prices up. All right, we're going to get into the Hofstad S2 here. My favorite laser of the game these days. I mean, not that I don't like the Helix, but the Hofstad's where most of the work occurs now. All right, let's see what we got here. Make sure that power is all the way down. So that is a 59% Bexlite fragment right there. And look at the size of that optimal window. Isn't that great? Be a nice, easy break on this fragment. Focus 3 makes things real, well, it's the combination of the Hofstad and the focus. It makes life a little easier. Another 44% fragment right here. Let's go ahead and pop that one too. And we got a little FLTRXL module just to help with inert filtering there. Give us a 25% bonus on that, which can be useful sometimes. Sometimes I'll switch out that FLTRXL for something else though. All right, so that's an 83% fragment right there. Let's extract that. Get that out of the way. Another 44%. We'll take that one home too. Yeah, this turned out to be a nice little rock. .22. We're going to leave that one in the ground. We'll let that one get away. 33%. I'll go ahead and scoop that one. Why not? %81 on this particular fragment. That's not too bad. I can live with that. All right, what do we have right here? That one. 38%. We'll take it. %72%. Let's take that one home too. All right, and after we get done with this one, we're going to go pop that other rock. Let's see, what do we got? 8% Bex. I think we'll leave that one. 25% on that one. And 35%. Okay, let's go ahead and start with this one first. Look at how nice that optimal window is. I'll show you guys something here in just a minute once I get into the optimal. So okay, we'll leave that right there. So if we scroll, if we kind of zoom in over here, let me drop the power level on that just a little bit. You'll see down here on this mining head that some of the bonuses that you get anyway on window size 224 plus 40%. And we take a 5% hit on fracture power due to this module right here, but it's not a big deal for these fragments. Okay, let's see if we can scoop this up. So anyway, that's why we're getting those nice window sizes on this particular laser. 26%, we'll take that one home. Probably going to dump the titanium unless I see the market prices on that. I'll check that here in a minute. Just do a direct ore sale if I have to, so we don't refine it. And it still appears that in 4.5, if you don't direct sell whatever leftover minerals you have in your in the mole, that it will continue using up cargo space. So it's super important to do that continue doing that step even in 4.5. So you refine what you want to refine, and then you sell off the rest at direct ore sales right there at the refinery. Okay, so I don't see anything that's really getting me excited. Let's go ahead and let's pop this one real quick. That'll leave plenty of room in the cargo hold here for the next rock we take. It just makes these breaks so easy. All right, what do we got over here? Let's get some good fragments out of this thing. Okay, 5% sucks. We're going to leave that one there. How about this guy right here? 41%, we'll take it home. $46, we'll take that one home too. And we're going to we're going to put an Optimax on that Terranite rock after we get done here. See how that cluster modifier works out there. 6%, and I think we're almost done here with this guy. 12%, yeah, I'm not getting too excited here. All right, I think we'll go ahead and leave the rest on the ground. Just in case we need a little bit of extra. So we ended up with 60 SCUs. We got 36 and some change left over. And we ended up with 30 SCUs of Bexlite. So at 17,000 per SCU, so not bad. Of course, there is going to be a refining hit, but let's get the mole repositioned here. And let me see what we got in our box here. I just want to make sure we have enough. So lots of Sabirs. Yeah, we don't have any more Optimax. That's it right there. Yeah. Oh, and we have this one right here. Okay. And Hummel was right. Something terrible was happening to that poor Optimax. If you guys saw the sparks flying off that thing. Not great. Let's go ahead and reposition the mole here. We'll get an Optimax put on this Terranite rock. I believe it was this guy right here. Little 14K rock. Get the gear down. A little bit of desync there. Had me run into the wall. All right, let's hop out. And we'll throw one on here and see what it does for us, if anything. Oh, that's a Sabir. Oh, my. Let's go grab the correct mining gadget here. There we go. We'll hit the detach button. See green right here, so that should be pretty good. There we go. And what kind of waveform? Oh, that's not great. Worst case scenarios, we'll pop it and replace it. Okay, we're in the 90s. See if we can get squeeze just a little bit more efficiency out of it. 96, though. Take that. Amazing amount of detail on this new armor that they have out in the shop. Kind of running my loot setup right now in armor. I don't have my mining armor set up right now, but always rolling with the heavy armor when I'm looting or trying to find armor sets out there. Okay, and that's why you jump out of the mining head and don't lower the elevator, because you see there that the moles started kind of floating around. Just kind of weird things that happen out there in the verse sometimes. All right, let's go ahead and get in here and see what we can see here. And I think I'm going to, yeah, see we're leaning sideways all of a sudden. I think we're going to try and get this guy popped from the Hofstad first just to see. I know we can do it from the front. Let's go ahead and ping this real here. So we're 30 meters out. Gear up. And we'll run down to the Hofstad real quick first. Well, actually scratch that. Let's just do that from this guy. The Helix 2 with the triple C3s on it. That way it save a little bit of time. If it looks like my optimal's not looking great. Oh yeah, that's going to be okay. All right, let's nice and easy. Just throw a little power at it. Bring up that laser intensity real slow. And then you got to watch out for the jumps that happen right about here. Right there. Did you guys see that? Then we'll just massage this energy all the way through the optimal. Make it nice and easy on us. Try not to end up in the overcharge, and we'll pop it. That's one of the thing about popping rocks with the triple C3s is you can get into it pretty quickly. All right, let's go ahead and hop over to the Hofstad and do the sub brakes there. And we'll scoop this up, and this will be a pretty decent mining run as well. It's not going to be Ryzen, Quantanium, Styleron numbers, but sometimes you just got to eat what the verse feeds you. So we're gonna take these rocks home. There it is. And another beautiful day out here on Ignis. Look at that. All right, 71% Terranite fragment right there. Let's go ahead and start on that guy. You guys see how big that optimal window gets? Like I said, makes life nice and easy for us. Yeah, these rocks get real frisky about 80% into the charge level. All right, there's the first one. Let's go ahead and scoop this up first. I'd be a little bit more picky on these fragments now that we're getting up to the top half of the cargo here. There's our 70%, 78% fragment. %, fragment. %, fragment. So it looks like the Optimax is doing its work here. Another 100%. Loving that. We had a 2, and what was this one in back right here? Another 100%. We'll take that one home too. For some reason, the Optimax just seems to do really well overall with Terranite. Much better than it would on, for example, I haven't had a ton of luck with that on the TRS stuff, but on Terranite and Laranite seems to do pretty well. And Bexlite. There's a nice fragment right there. And we're getting up into the top range of the cargo. Oh, I love those D6. All right, let's choose the least worst option. I thought for sure there might be one behind these guys, but I see one that's right here. I can't quite get to. And I don't want to go upstairs and move the ship, so we're just going to charge it. There it is. All right. And it turned out to be a 1.44. So we'll go ahead and fill up on this guy right here. Or not. We'll take this one. And not a bad run. So we ended up with 30 SCUs of Bexlite and 26 SCUs of Terranite. Humble saying is so used to small optimal windows, it's become life. Yeah, I'm with you. At least on the helixes, I'm kind of used to dealing with it, but on the sub breaks, you know, I'd rather have a nice, easy time. All right, let's go back to the barn on our second mining run of the night here and see what we made. And now with the engineering, now you can see the health of all your components. Very interesting what they've done here. And turn power on and off for each one. All right, and now we're going to get ready here for our 42 gigameter run back to checkmate. And we're running the Hurricane on this thing, so nice speed, decent speed, and decent range all at the same time. Makes these runs a little bit simpler, a little bit shorter, because most things in Pyro tend to be long distance. And if you guys are liking the stream, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't checked out the YouTube channel yet, give it a shot. If you like my videos, I hope you would subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Free for all you guys out there, but it does help out the channel. All right, almost halfway to checkmate already. Not a bad run. And let me put up the mining UI for you guys, and we'll take a look here. And while we're on our way back, I'm going to see what titanium's selling for these days, if it's even worth refining. Nope, we're going to direct sell it. So we'll do an ore direct sell on the titanium and dump the inert. And of course, we'll refine the bexlite and terranite. And I'll throw this into the work order calculator on regolith.rocks and let you guys know what this mining run was. All right, let's get our elevator up. Not sure why that came down, but it just seems like the graphics are a little bit more crisp. Everything is looking really good. All right, let's go ahead and accelerate up to 900 meters per second into checkmate here, just so we get there as quickly as possible. Not that we're in a huge hurry or anything, but I generally don't like hanging out. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Games seem a little bit more, the graphics seem a little bit more crisp to you, a little bit more refined, or is it just my imagination? Look at that. Really beautiful. Really nice. I will say that this is the one place in the verse, maybe here in Orison, where smooth motion doesn't seem to work as well. You know, it gets a little choppy when it has a lot of load on it. And but all the other places in the verse, it seems to work. It seems like they have more optimization they need to do in Pyro, for sure. Okay, let's go ahead and get our ship repaired and fueled up. All right, let's go get our ship stored and find out how much money we made on this run. No wear and tear on the paint yet, though. Very interesting. I mean, not much at all. As you can see, the GPU percentages are just popping around all over the place. So definitely more optimization that they can do in Pyro for sure. And we have the FPS limited actually in the NVIDIA driver to 120 FPS. I don't see any reason to push the thermal tolerances on the card to get 140 versus 120. So with smooth motion. So that's why we have that limited. So 120 is all you're ever going to see. There are places where it will do 144, you know, if I'm doing VSync on the monitor here. But like I said, then the GPU utilization jumps all the way up to 95%. And the fans spin up and we're heating up the card quite a bit more. So, oh, you know what? Let me make sure I stored that ship. Hold on. Yep, we did. Fantastic. All right. And I can't really tell the difference, honestly, in the game between 120 and 144. So in other words, the ROI is just not worth it to me. I like to keep my cards cool as much as I can, especially with the prices on cards these days. They're so ridiculous. I think even the 4090s are still running a couple of grand. And if you want a 5090, you're going to be in the 3K range. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at what we got here. So we'll set up the work order, and we're going to refine the Bexelite and the Terranite. We're going to not do the titanium. We'll do dinks. We'll get a quote. Okay, so there are my yields. Wow. Look at the yield. Look at the quantity versus the yield on the Bexelite. Yikes. So our first mining run of the night with the Ryzen was 1.3 million, and this one's going to gross out at 567,906 according to Regolith. So we're at 1.8 million for the night. So not too bad. All right, so we got 8198 AUEC. It'll take 26 hours. I'm not in a huge hurry to get all this stuff refined. And let's go ahead and direct sell the titanium, get that off the mole. So this will pay for our fuel and repairs for the past couple of runs. And there it is. All right. All right, back to the medium hanger here. So 567,906 on that one. And of course, that doesn't include, what it would cost to, if I wanted to run it all out to Area 18, there's going to be a little bit of fuel cost there. But other than that, not a bad run. Let's see if we can do a little better. I definitely prefer to be in the 7-figure area per run, especially with the scanning changes that they've done. All the work we have to do, just filtering out the garbage that we don't want to mine. Okay, now that we have that little administrative item out of the way, let's head on back. And before I forget, I want to check on one contract real quick. I want to see if it's still available here. And we're going to check my rep here. So we're still a rookie with Kovalex. Foxwell Enforcement, we're a junior security contractor. Headhunters, I've been kind of working them for a while. Not making a ton of progress with them yet. And we're an associate tracker there, so not a lot going on. All right. Trying to build rep with various organizations to increase our attractiveness to them. Branching out from mining just a little bit to go out and shoot some stuff, and that's been a lot of fun. But for me, on the industrial gameplay side of things, I'm not a huge fan of cargo runs yet. I've been trying those out, but ultimately mining is still, for me, the best bang for the buck. So, all right, let's go ahead and get powered up here. And I'm just going to double check and make sure that our fuel situation, we're all repaired. Everything there is looking good. Let's go ahead and get Ignis plugged in again. Actually, I think we're going to try Monox this time. That'll be a nice short run out here from Checkmate. And usually I can find some bigger rocks on Monox, so maybe a little bit more volume. Okay, let's throw a few more scans out there to avoid all the stuff out there that can kill us. There we go. All right, let's get the quantum drive spun up here. And off we go to Monox. All right, but once again, you see that the FPS is maxed out about 120. And like I said, going from 120 to 144 or 150 or 160, whatever it may be, especially if you have VSync turned off, it'll do all the way up to 180, 190 in some cases. In some areas of the verse, not all, but some. That GPU utilization climbs all the way up to 95%, and then the fans are really spinning up, and the temperature climbs on the component, on the graphics card. So I just, like I said, I don't see a lot of difference between 120 and 150 or 160 in Star Citizen. So I just max it out in the driver at 121. It will not do, and before anybody asks, no, we're not pushing 150, 160 FPS at Ortison or in some parts of Pyro that haven't been optimized yet. So those are still very difficult on the graphics card. All right, let's go ahead and hit OM1 here. So we'll do a little vertical acceleration. And then we'll hit OM1 and then head down to the planet from there. Get cruise control turned on. Get this all turned up. And there is beautiful Monox. Made tons of money on Monox. Probably mined hundreds of millions on Monox. So between Monox and Ignis, my two favorite locations, but Bloom is actually not terrible either. So, and Bloom is a really beautiful place to go mining. All right, we're just gonna do pure vertical acceleration, get that unobstructed, and then we'll head out to OM1 here and drop down. For those that are wondering why I don't just choose one of the quantum markers on the planet, it's because that's what everybody does. So instead, I like to go out to the northern orbital marker and then fly down to the planet from there. as far away from the dark as possible. And there's a nice little spot right there. Let's just go ahead and do that. Let's accelerate out. But everybody has their own system. If that's what you want to do, then I would suggest you fly at least 200 to 300 kilometers out from one of those markers and then start your mining. But I wouldn't drop right on one and start from there. You have a higher chance of running into people. And I was reading on the forums the other day that apparently there is a lot of interdictions that are happening between the jump points now. So you may want to consider, if you're moving a ton of cargo or a ton of refined material, say between Pyro and Stanton, or Pyro and Nix for some reason, you may want to consider doglegging your jumps. And Humble's saying he just picked up 32 SC of Quantanium and 30 SC of Terranite. Very nice. Yeah, and another good advice is you only do it late at night or in the mid-morning on low population servers. I would definitely agree with that. You definitely don't want to be moving millions in refined material between portions of Pyro and Stanton on a Friday night or Saturday night for sure. You want to choose a different time. And there's our beautiful Mo. We're getting a little bit of paint wear and tear right there. Overall, she's still looking pretty brand new. So my understanding on the refining penalties, and this is just basically based on what I've read so far, is that there is a possibility, and don't take my word for it, but there's a possibility that the Arastra might be coming out in 2026. So, and some of these ships that have onboard refining capability are going to change the gameplay loop a little bit. And so they're starting to build in these refining penalties now to kind of prepare for that, which is very interesting. And I want to make sure I got these clouds on high. I absolutely love Monarchs because of the clouds. It's beautiful down there. So let's run down here and let's just make sure all that's turned up to max. Nope, not. So let's put them on photo mode here. There we go. They sure did add quite a few more things that you can tweak here in the graphics on 4.5. So I found that interesting. Detail textures. I think we're almost maxed out. Let's make sure. Put that on Ultra 2. Why not? Okay. I know they have a master preset up here, but I just prefer to go through each thing. Yep, so everything is pretty much maxed out here. All right, back to, let's pay attention to what's happening here. There's our photo clouds right there. Absolutely gorgeous day on Monarchs. Look at that. And for those of you that are joining me tonight, welcome to AlphaInfinityTech. We're live from our second home base in Texas. We're streaming live on a fiber connection, and it is a beefy fiber connection to say the least. And what a difference going from Spectrum cable internet to fiber. It's like going from the Bud Light of fiber to the cognac, or the Bud Light of internet to the cognac of internet connections. It's a big difference. Much lower latency. Wow, look at how gorgeous that is. All right, we're going to slow down just a little bit here. Look how gorgeous that is. Amazing. There's a nice picture for you guys. I'm going to start a recording of that. Okay, let's get our first scan out and see what Monox has in store for us tonight. All right, I was so enthralled with that I missed our rocks here. Okay, let's see if we can pay attention now. There they are. All right. Really gorgeous. Okay. That's what keeps me coming back to Star Citizen right there. It's just the universe that they've created and the amount of amazing. So that's a tungsten rock. The amount of amazing places that you can go and the scenery, the detail. Nothing good so far. We'll scan this last big one and then we'll move on here. Okay, so I believe that's with all detail just maxed out. Didn't really impact the graphics card that much. So we're going to head into the sun and see what else we can find out here. Gain a little bit more altitude. And let's get into the Navicium mode here. Get a little bit more speed. That is one thing about Monox that's a disadvantage over Ignis, is that you're not going to have as much velocity. Okay, we got some rocks over here. Let's go check it out. $80,000 mass rock. Wrong material, but that is a big, big rock. Wow. Okay, let's try, let's scan these other guys, see if we get lucky tonight. Not looking great on that one. I don't think I want to break any gold rocks tonight. Another gold rock at 83,000. Like I said, Monarchs has bigger rocks. More mass for sure. 126,000. Look at that. So a nice little cluster if you're in a mining org. There's another cluster right out there that looks like it's spaced well enough apart to be something interesting. These all look pretty small to me right here, but we'll scan a couple anyway, just in case. Yeah. Really small. Let's skip some of these and just do the bigger ones here. Yeah, these are all going to be small, so we'll just move on. So on my next stream, I think I'm going to go back to my playlist because even though I have the in-game music turned on, it just stops. Just disappears. Just stops working for some reason. Another feature. All right, let's see what we have over here. Okay, these all look a little bit bigger. Okay, 19 on that one. Nothing worth mining. Yeah, this is all going to be the same. Okay, let's keep on. Keep on trucking. Keep on scanning here. See what we can see. All right, we got a signature out here that's not cooperating. Get a little bit closer and see if we can. Figure out what these are. Really small. We'll scan this one and just move on. And there's a semi-big one. Let's see what we got here. 8712 Terranite. Yeah, we don't want to. Here's some more at 2K out. I guess the one nice thing about the scanning changes, if there is such a thing, is that if they're spaced out, then you can be fairly certain they're rocks that you might want to take a look at. 13K copper, we'll skip it. 13K Terranite, we might keep that. And 19K Lurenite. A 37K Lurenite. I think we're going to keep on moving here. I'd like to find something a little bit better. Space too close together. All right, a couple more over this direction. I'm gonna give the scanning changes kind of a thumbs down for now. Not really liking what they've done here. I don't mind the refining penalty that we're seeing now, where we lose half or 60%, but because they did increase the prices per SCU on most materials, but some of the scanning changes are just not great. All right, gold. We're not here for that tonight. See if we can find something better. And actually, most of the refining penalties have been over half, like some 60, 70%. All right, let's point into the sun. And keep on trucking here. Yep, about 325 meters per second on Monox is about the best you're going to see without getting into the thrusters all the time. There's one that just popped up in front of us. Not worth looking at. Too close together. Rock minables over there. We're not going to bother with that, obviously. All right, let's go check out the granite over here. Maybe it'll be something worth taking home tonight. Not liking these on the side of a mountain, I'll tell you that. Okay, we ended up lucky there. Let's see what we got. $53K gold. $23K on aluminum. Probably take that Quantanium rock home if there's something else in here worth cracking. And a 19K gold. All right. So I think what we're going to do here. Oh, there's a Terranite. That's a little Terranite rock, though. That's a big rock for sure. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a crack at this one first. So since we have a Quantanium rock here, as soon as for those that don't know, as soon as you crack that Quantanium rock and you start collecting it, then it's time to go home. So you want to do that last, obviously. Landing definitely not complete. Let's see if I have the appropriate. Resistance is already in a kind of a happy place here already, so I think we'll just break it as is. Well, we have 2 Optimaxes on board, so we'll go throw one on here. There's the one that I was sitting on that Hummel told me not to do. It's not in a happy place. All right, looks like we're about 52. $81. All right, that's activated and ready to roll. Love the scenery on Monox. Really cool place to mine overall. Really beautiful. Clouds. Everything is just really amazing out here. Really pretty. I would argue that Monox and Bloom are probably 2 of the most Okay, what is my elevator dead now? Is that what's going on? Well, have you guys ever had that happen where the elevator dies? Not getting a UI indicator at all. There it goes. How much does Quantanium run per SCU these days, Humble? I mean, that's got to be... Yeah, we're definitely having some server issues here. All right, let's get our starboard laser. Yeah, something is not right here. I'm going to Alt F4 out real quick and come back in. We're in not a good state at the moment. And it's just better to do that than to try and mess around with whatever. That instance is on its way out for sure. Okay, let's see if we can get into a new server instance here. That's going to be a little bit more stable. And while we're waiting on that, I'm going to grab a soda real quick. I'll be right back with you guys. All right, looks like we're back in. Kill the chat here. And now we're in a better state. All right. All right, about 46 meters out. Let's move up a little bit. Make sure our power levels are where they should be here. And I shouldn't have to pop new modules on since we did a repair. So I guess we'll find out. Back at Checkmate, we should have all our modules on here. I know that we ran through all the surges. Okay, there we go. All right, there's our gold rock that we're going to start on tonight. And that optimal range is looking nice and frisky. See if I can find something a little bit better. Resistance is down to 7%. All right, we'll get out of the overcharge and just try and ride that all the way through. And we're going to have a little bit after the crack, but that's okay. All right. There goes our 50K rock. Let's go ahead and climb into the Hofstad and see what that Optimax did for us on the gold. Wow, 94,000 per SCU of Quantanium. So Humble, are you pretty much just exclusively focusing on S tier stuff, or are you doing tier 1 still? Okay, 100% aluminum on that fragment. Pretty interesting. All right, here's a gold fragment. Let's go ahead and pop that. All right, let's see what our optimum gadget did for us here. So 58%, not terrible. %. So on the initial break of the first fragment, not looking so hot. Got a lot of aluminum mixed in here. I'm going to go ahead and pop this one. Since it's 100% aluminum, we're going to put it into the overcharge and just bust it. But not too far into the overcharge since we're so close. All right, let's see what else we got behind it. 22%. 42%. So it's looking like the optimum on this particular mineral type is not great. So good to know. So once again, back to Terranite and Bexlite. But I'm going to hold judgment until we get behind these bigger fragments. I want to see if there's some 70, 80, 90, 100s in here somewhere. All right. What do we get out of this one? Let's find out. 8.33%. We'll pass on that one. 31. We'll go ahead and take that one. Yeah, I'd say our mining gadget did not work on this one very well. All right, so cluster modifier on gold is no bueno, at least when mixed with aluminum. All right, there's a 59% fragment. A little better. Not great, but let's see if we can do a little better. 57%, that's a little better. But still not seeing those 80, 90, 100s that we saw in some of the other materials we put Optimaxes on tonight. So a lot of 30s and 40s. So let's pop this last big guy right here. And see if we luck out with any of those fragments. Yeah, and Humble's saying he doesn't mess with gold. And I'm starting to get the feeling that I'm going to stop messing with gold too. I don't actually remember ever getting a nice clean gold rock. It's always a problem. So 35, 24, yeah, this is just not great. Collect up to about 60 SCO and I'll leave 36 for that Quantanium rock. And I just want to double check and make sure we don't have anything good sitting on the ground here. 39, not really. Okay, we're going to call it quits on that. And let's go take a look at that Quantanium rock and see what we can see. It's not a huge one, but we'll definitely make more money off of that than we did off the gold. Let me see if I can see my mining gadget laying on the ground over here anywhere. I'm not seeing it. All right, let's break our little Quantanium rock here. And I forgot exactly which one it was, so we're going to scan them all. Okay, there it is. Make sure we don't have another one sitting out here. Aluminum. More useless stuff, more garbage. Gold, more garbage, basically. All right. And I know the Optimaxes don't work well on Quantane. I've not had any luck with those on this type of material at all. So what we're going to do is we'll position the Hofstede over here, 30 meters out, 35, nose up a little bit. And we'll go pop that one in the Hofstede, assuming that the resistance isn't too out of control. And if I find a bigger rock, a bigger Quantanium rock out there, I'll try the Optimax again. But in 4.4, not having a lot of luck. And most of the time I end up with putting a Sabir on them anyway. All right. Let's see if we can pop it with this one. If not, we'll hop into the front laser. Yeah, no, we can do it with this one. There it is. All right, we'll just ride the optimal window all the way through. Make it nice and easy. All right. So we're going to get into the countdown timer now. But it's 25 minutes for you new guys, which is a lot better than it used to be. Got a nice short hop back to checkmate, so I'm not worried about time too much. $1.81. Yikes. Might end up with 15 if we're lucky. Looks like it's going to be around 12 to 14. And since we're pretty much out of space anyway, might as well finish off on that one. So we ended up with 12.72. Yeah, and Humble Monk says he doesn't like messing with gold, doesn't like clustering, and that is the truth. And the Optimax had basically no impact, as far as I can tell, on that gold rock. So Terranite and Bexlite, the Optimax is extremely useful, in my opinion. Not so useful when it comes to Quantanium. Haven't tried it. I think it did okay on Ricite, but I'm going to double check that. Okay, let's get checkmate plugged in here. All right, let's get into the right SCM mode here. We'll accelerate on out to our orbital marker 1, and then off to checkmate it is. Beautiful sunset out here on Monox. Look at that. Give you guys a nice little view there. All right, and off we go. Only 8.9 gigameters out to checkmate. So nice short hop, and if we just hit M here, still got 20 minutes left on the volatile cargo timer. So we're not even going to get close to that. All right, we're almost home. So a mixture of gold and quantanium on this particular run. I'm curious to see what Reglist says we're going to do on our work order calculator here. And look at that, checkmate's getting more busy tonight. Couple of real players, not NPCs out there. All right, we have our hangar assigned. Throw another scan out there because it is checkmate. Definitely don't want to run into stuff. And I heard from a friend that he ran into the asteroid coming out of his hangar and blew up his mole. I won't mention any names, but it has happened. Because that asteroid sits out there in the gas cloud right outside the range where you can see it, and so it appears out of nowhere, and then boom, you smack right into it. At least that's what I heard. All right, let's go ahead and get everything refueled. Do the repairs. And we'll go ahead and run down here, get the mole stored, and find out what we got. Now we're getting a little wear and tear on that paint. There it is. And off the refinery we go. So if you haven't checked out my Drake Clipper video, check it out. I like it. You can set it as your spawn point. It's got a little tier 3 med bed in it. That can be very helpful, especially when you're looting bunkers and doing some other wet work, as they like to say. All right, let's get a fourth going here. All right, Quantanium raw. Boy, that's going to hurt when I watch that, but that's all right. Okay. And we'll select. And let's go ahead and get a quote. 584 on the yield. Wow. So that'll still gross out at 584,000, or no, sorry, 566,000 on the Quantanium alone. The gold, on the other hand, is only going to get us about 120,000. So that'll be the last time I mine that material. But another $650,000 mining run right there. So still not in the seven figures. But a couple $1 million night tonight after it's all said and done with these work orders. So we'll go ahead and confirm this 9909 at 19 hours. And we'll let that do its thing. So then we'll go dump the rest of it on ore cells here. So 20K. That'll cover my fuel and repairs. Give me enough money left over for some food, maybe. Hot dog. Never really noticed this before. It's interesting. And that, my friends, is going to conclude the stream for the night. So we did 3 mining runs, couple $1 million, not bad. The rice site really set the tone for the night, and of course made up the majority of our earnings. And it is super valuable stuff. And then once again, the Quantanium, even that small rock, was worth $500,000. So not bad at all. So Humble, thanks for hanging out with me tonight, man. It's always good to see you. For those that don't know, Humble's OG miner, been around the verse for a very long time, knows it back and forth, been doing this for a long time, super knowledgeable guy. Glad to have him around. Anyway, I want you guys to have a great night, and I'll be streaming again later this week, probably, I'm guessing, after the Christmas holiday, but maybe before, we'll see. And keep an eye on the channel. And in the meantime, you guys have a fantastic night, and we will see you again soon.